One problem with working on old cars is the lack of feedback. You see something, you try to fix it, sometimes you dig really deep into the car, and sometimes you don't actually know if what you're doing is helping. The only immediate feedback you usually get is when you do something wrong and you hear it. Like here, when the engine is running rough. So you dig again, find mistakes, sometimes mistakes you made yourself, fix those, and then wait for the next clue. But what if I told you these cars can actually talk? And you can listen to them for almost no money at all. The 964 has a surprisingly simple way to diagnose itself. In the passenger footwell, there's a cover hiding the diagnostic connector. There are tools on the market for it, but most are either hard to find or expensive. And if you have a US spec 964 or a later European car with a check engine light, you're in luck. With the ignition on, you can trigger blink codes using the accelerator pedal and read the stored fault codes from the flashing light itself. But since I have an early 964, nothing lights up for me. So instead, we use the diagnostic port to do basically the same thing. Just to be clear, I didn't invent this method. This comes from a very old forum knowledge, and two legends I found are Andreas and Peter. They showed how to read the DME fault memory with basically two LEDs and a resistor. The idea is that the DME can output 4-digit blink codes through the diagnostic connector, and with a tiny DIY tester you can read fault memory, clear faults, and even trigger things like a system adaptation. We use two LEDs and solder them together in opposite directions, so polarity doesn't matter. No matter which way the two pins are connected, one of the LEDs will blink and talk to you. These are 3-volt LEDs, so we need to use a 470 ohm resistor to keep them alive. Then I solder wires on both ends to make the whole thing easier to use. On the other end of these cables, I used these mini banana plugs, which fit perfectly into the pins of the connector in the car. And there you go, your own little 964 diagnostic lead. The only thing missing is a second wire to bridge two other pins. You will see that in a second. Back in the car, we can plug it in. The connector has numbered pins and we need the following. Following the old forum method, the LED lead goes into pin 13 and 15. The LED does not light up immediately because pin 13 has only the ignition 12 volt. Later we will use pin 12 instead. Then, with the ignition switched on, we use the second wire to briefly bridge pin 7 and 10. The LED goes out, you remove the bridge, and then the DME starts blinking out the codes. There's a long blink at the start and the end. And in between you get the actual 4-digit fault code. Mine blinked 1500, which means no stored faults. And honestly, that wasn't what I expected. I was so confused that I even unplugged the airflow meter to try and provoke a fault, but I didn't want to start the engine just for that, so for now I took the win. But there's more you can do with this, and for that I wanted to improve the setup a bit. So I designed and printed a little handheld case to hold all the components and make the whole thing much easier to use. Let's start with some melted in threaded inserts because I love using them. They will hold the back cover and an inner plate. Next, the LEDs gets press fitted into the housing so you can see them from the outside but they don't stick out. This inner plate originally was there to hold the LEDs in place, but then I had the idea to also print the internal wiring layout onto it, so you basically can't assemble it wrong. It follows the same circuit as before, the only thing I added is a button to trigger the diagnostic request. You just fiddle the LED connector through the case and it snaps into place. We will screw it down properly later. I also added 2 small holes for zip ties. They are hard to get in afterwards, so I fed them through before continuing. Now we bend the LED legs over so they follow the printed path. After that, we add 2 resistors, one for the code LEDs and one for the trigger LED. I used 470 ohms here as well, but next time I'd probably go closer to 600 because these LEDs are very bright. Once everything is roughly in place, we solder it all together. Now for the button. While you press it, it bridges the trigger pins and starts the blink code sequence. It mounts through a hole on the top side of the case. To actually reach the car's connector comfortably, I added 4 cables, each about 1 meter long, so I can use the tool while sitting on the driver's seat. Then I used the zip ties as a strain relief, so the wires can't just rip out easily. Although I think that could be improved a little. To make the thin wiring a bit more trustworthy, I covered it with hot glue so nothing can move around. It looks messy, but it does the job. And once the back cover is on, you won't see any of it anyway. Then we just bolt the cover down with 4 and 3 bolts. At the other ends of the long wires, I attached the same terminals as before to plug into the car. This time I also added heat shrink and labels, so there's no way I mess up the wiring later. Back in the car, you can plug it in, and now you got a proper handheld diagnostic tool. And you can immediately see why I'd use stronger resistors next time. With LEDs this bright, you definitely won't miss a blink. If you press the button, the trigger LED lights up to show what's happening. Reading the fault codes is now really simple. If you press the button again after one fault code has been displayed, it jumps to the next one. If there are no more faults, it shows the code 1000, which is the end of output code. You can also clear the fault memory. The basic idea is simple. Hold the button long enough and the DME clears the stored codes. The LED stays continuously on and gives you little timing markers while you hold it. That makes it easier to know if you're still in the right window. Now to the main reason I built this handheld in the first place, the system adaptation. According to the old forums written up, this is something you want to do when the engine runs rough, stalls when you dip the clutch, or after replacing and cleaning components in the engine. It's also commonly recommended after disconnecting the battery, because the control unit then has to relearn its adaptation values. Luckily mine doesn't stall, but from time to time I do feel like the idle could be steadier, so I wanted to try it. To start the adaptation, you first clear any faults, then follow the procedure. Ignition off, press and hold the trigger, turn the ignition on, start the engine within 6 seconds, and then release the button within 3 seconds after starting it. It took me a few tries, but eventually I got the code 1411, which indicates that the adaptation routine is running. I let the engine idle for a bit, then pressed and held the button again, and it finally returned 1500, meaning the routine was completed and there are no fault codes. Did I notice a difference straight away? Honestly, I'm not sure yet. But I'm still happy I built this little tool, and at least I know my car isn't storing any fault codes. But there was one more thing that annoyed me literally the second after finished building it: the cables. Just wrapping it around the case is not a solution I can live with. So I designed a second back piece. This one has slots for small magnets. I also printed a second case, almost the same size. You can probably see where this is going. You roll the cable up, tuck it into this little storage box, and then it clips magnetically onto the back of the main unit. That's much better. Now I can sleep again. For now, I just throw it in the glove box and leave it until I need it again. And oh yeah, you can download the print files. Just check the link below. See you in the next one.